Alright, so check this out. This stock is up so far year to date 370%, making some big moves while remaining relatively silent, at least in the YouTube community. And guys, this one checks all the boxes. It plays in the EV space, has phenomenal growth, is a multi-billion-dollar company, and it even has the Buffett seal of approval, which we'll talk about. No idea what the stock is? Leave your guess in the comment section down below. And what we're gonna do in this video is actually go really in depth with this company and maybe give you another idea of an EV play that you may have never heard of before. So what we'll cover specifically, guys, is first off, what stock this is, what does this company do? Secondly, let's look at their financials, we'll break that down. And then we're gonna go look at how much Mr. Buffett himself has invested in this company. And finally, what's a good price to buy the stock? We'll talk about that as well. Smash the like button down below for the research done for this video, guys. And subscribe and join the community if you haven't done so already. But regardless, sit back, relax, let's get going. Kicking us off here, number one, what stock is this and what do they do? The stock is called BYD, which stands for Build Your Dream, and this is a stock that has been traded on the US market since 2008, and this is not a new sketch IPO or SPAC or anything like that. We can see over the years it's been a relatively stable stock, but 2020 has just seen it explode, riding the wave with other EV stocks like Nio, XPEV, Li, and Tesla as well. And on that note, yes, this is another Chinese car company that is competing for market share in China. But the unique thing about BYD is that they don't just do EV cars. They do a lot of other stuff like energy, technology, and a few other things in China as well. So this company's been around since 1995, well established, and the sectors they play in relate to electronics, automobiles, new energy, and rail transit. Their goal is to provide zero-emission energy solutions. So what I'd say here is that their mission is a lot bigger than just having the next coolest electric car on the road. And I think this is what makes them very unique and has a big potential for them. They're not just here like Li or Nio saying, I'm gonna make the next best electric car. They're like, no, we're gonna solve a problem much bigger than just electric cars. And you know what? Because we have that technology, we're gonna put that into cars as well and sell that too. Their main focus, it looks like, is sustainable energy, which, you know, if they solve it, it's a pretty big market to tackle, and that's what makes this company so exciting, similar to Tesla with their energy potential as well. So the flagship car BYD is the Han EV series, which targets the mid to large luxury sedan market, which will have 3 EV models and 1 hybrid model. The compelling thing about BYD is their pricing. It's super competitive with the Tesla Model 3s, which is in the same range. But with this car, you get so much more of a luxurious experience. You know, the interior is much nicer. Arguably, the exterior is also nicer. I mean, that's subjective. But the point is that BYD is serious in the space, even though it's kind of a byproduct of what they create. And they see the potential here, which is why they're putting some focus on this. But you guys know I'm not going to ever invest in a company without looking at their financials. So let's break down the financials for BYD. Starting with the revenues, we can see BYD is a strong player here, pulling in $6.5 billion last quarter in revenue, of which $1.46 billion was gross profit, meaning they have a decent positive profit margin, unlike some other Chinese EV players. And because of this, they do pull in positive net income, meaning BYD is a profitable business, and they have been growing profits rapidly. What? Unheard of. How is this possible? How is there a Chinese EV company that's actually profitable? That's just fake news, guys. No, I'm being serious. It's actually true. This company is growing their profits fast, and in terms of assets, they have $29 billion right now sitting in total assets, with nearly $2 billion of that sitting in cash. Liability sits at around $19 billion, with around $3.8 billion of that sitting as long-term debt. So what I'd say is overall their assets liabilities looks pretty good. They have a pretty strong balance sheet as well. I wouldn't say it's bulletproof, but I'd say it's pretty strong. I'm not really fearing this company going under or anything like that anytime soon. And overall, I give this a pretty good pass. No concerns here. What also instills a lot more confidence is this company's been around for so long that they're a very established brand in China, a very established company in China. So they know how to do a thing or two, and that gives me confidence if I did put money into this company. Now, I also mentioned the greatest investor of all time also put money into this. So the question is, how much money does Warren Buffett actually have invested in BYD? So you may not know this, but Buffett actually bought BYD stock back in 2008, September, more than a decade ago, and he bought 225 million shares at the time. Now that investment accounts for 4.5 billion US dollars worth in shares of the company, which is a sizable stake even for Buffett, especially since this is a foreign investment. This chart here shows us just where Buffett bought the stock and where it is right now, and you can see many investors are probably sold out on the run in 2010, but Buffett's like, hey, I see long-term potential here. I am a buy and hold investor, so I'm gonna hold this for the long term. And now they're sitting on one of their most successful investments as the EV space has taken off. And you may think, hey, Buffett bought into this company like, 12 years ago. He doesn't really care about it anymore, right? It's just a company that he's making profits in and just continues holding because of that. Well, you see, in April 2020, when the world was locked down, Buffett actually endorsed BYD by wearing their mask, which speaks volumes with his confidence towards this company and how he's still perfectly fine publicly showing off this brand. Then again, just 2 months ago, he came out again with some more bold statements on BYD, and this was at a BYD specific event, and Buffett said, hey, BYD is a young and promising company that is experiencing rapid growth and is a leader in innovation and technology. He then added that BYD is the right choice for him. So objectively speaking here, looking at Buffett's statement, I can tell you that it looks like he's pretty much as bullish as ever on this company, still has a ton of confidence, hasn't sold out of his stake, so that should give you a lot of confidence if you're considering investing in this company. Even today, BYD is at a $65 billion USD market cap, so it isn't a small player anymore, but perhaps Buffett sees this as a multi-$100 billion company, probably because of their energy potential, which is why he's still holding this stock. Okay, exciting stuff, understand the company, understand what they do, look at their fundamentals, Buffett's buying. But now in my opinion, what is a good price to buy into this stock? Guys, I gotta caveat this. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But that being said, let's look at some numbers. For the last few years, BYD has been coasting along, and recently it's seen volume tick up, which has pushed the stock to new highs. Just rewind a few months, in July, this was sitting at around $6 per share, and now we're sitting at $22 per share, meaning the stock has multiplied by 4 times in the last 4 months. The good news though with this run up is that it's supported by some pretty high volume and heavy buying, implying that some big players may be buying up stakes in this stock. And by big players, I mean like large hedge funds, people with a lot of cash. Hey, maybe even Buffett started buying into this stock again. But anyways, back to the graph, we can see that this is the weekly chart and we're extremely stressed here, so this concerns me a bit. But that being said, let's spend some time looking at my favorite metric for these high growth stocks, price to sales. BYD is expected to pull in $21.34 billion in revenue this year and $25.53 billion next year, representing double-digit growth of over 20%. Now, we know the market cap today is $65 billion for this company, so if we just use some simple math, we can figure out that BYD has a forward price to sales of 3x for 2020 and 2.5x for 2021. Guys, that is extremely cheap and very attractive even after such a big run up here in the stock. For comparison's sake, Nio is at a 16x for 2021 price to sales, Tesla is at a 9.5x price to sales for 2021, XPEV 15x price to sales, and finally Li Auto with an 11.6x price to sales. Using the competition as a very loose benchmark, it's either BYD is extremely undervalued or these other stocks are all extremely overvalued. Some of them probably are, but I'd say, Tesla with under a 10 is a pretty fair middle ground. And although I don't think BYD deserves that sort of multiple, I think a 2 or 3 is just a little too low for this company. This kind of reminds me last year of when Tesla was at like a 2x price to sales. And guys, ever since that point, when it was at like a 40-something billion dollar market cap, and today it's at like 500, yeah, maybe we see the same potential and the same thing happen with BYD over the coming years. Now, I already have exposure to the EV space through Nio and Tesla, bought both of those stocks when they were at pretty cheap valuations. I would not necessarily be buying a Nio at these prices, but like I said, Tesla, there may be some potential there for me to buy more, but we'll talk about that in another video. However, when you're looking at BYD, guys, like I said, comparing it to its peers, it looks very cheap. Using other metrics I use for other high growth companies, it looks cheap. this may be a very attractive long-term investment. If things continue panning out the way that they are in China right now with mass adoption of EVs, rapid growth, the government helping, everything seems to be in BYD's favor and seems like a lot of tailwinds pushing this company higher. So I think even after this big run up the stock has seen, this may be one of the few EV companies that actually can sustain that sort of run and actually have another big leg up in the coming months and years. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, consider hitting that like button down below. Share this with a friend as well who's obsessed with Nio. We all have that friend who just can't stop talking about Nio or Tesla. Share this video with them. See what they have to say about BYD. You want to hear different perspectives. And then share in the comment section down below as well what your thoughts are on BYD. I want to hear from you guys as well. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.